fucking cold, yo. I have tons of thoughts, guys. So much that I had to like write it all down. And I probably won't be able to touch all of this, you know. But I'll try and remember a lot of it. This is, I've been doing a lot of addendum videos where I've been explaining, you know, the reason behind doing things and the reason for the videos and such. You know, when it comes to the comic book videos lately, I'm doing that. I haven't even had a chance to tell you. I've been so enamored with what I see. I'm like, wow, look at this. Wow, wow, wow. I forgot to tell you. I'm learning to draw right now. And I am, you know, I'm reaching a point where I'm done with all my remixes and matchups, and I'm going to return to making my songs. The flow and the natural order of things, psychedelic disco, you know, those were old songs that are already online and remastered. I have new songs, a new novel, and I'm pretty much ready to, you know, I might do one more remix, you know. Secret of Nim is something I've been kicking around, you know, and listening to, but, you know, it's not high on the list. But this is kind of like a Chizzletown addendum, and, you know, explaining the why of Chizzletown in the YouTube videos. And another thing I want to clear up is, you know, and this is actually the main reason for doing the video. The Chizzletown stuff is just going to be thrown in as a constant reference in the YouTube channels, or YouTube videos, excuse me. But the first thing I want to address is the actual definition for a remix. I know this is going to sound condescending and pretentious, but, you know, say you're the original artist and you have all these sounds. Let's bring up 9 Inch Nails, for instance. I'm not even looking at my card here. I'm just going off the top of my head here. 9 Inch Nails, Closer, you know. There's a remix of it on Closer to God, the 9 Inch Nails EP, where 9 Inch Nails himself actually did a remix of his own song. And, you know, I make this point that he had access to all of his original sounds and was able to make a remix that was an actual factual remix that used its sounds. Now, there are extreme cases where, say, somebody has a dance remix and they have access to the original sounds, like, for instance, Future Sound of London, Papua New Guinea. They gave their sounds to, like, 7 or 8 different artists, and those 7 or 8 different artists came back with a remix, and they made a Papua New Guinea Future Sound of London EP out of it. You know, when you have the original sounds, they're official remixes. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't go looking for acapellas, you know, or instrumentals. You know, I'm doing remixes and remasters of full songs, you know, and, you know, and that's kind of the point of this video, is that they are actual remixes, because they are enhancements upon the previous versions. Whereas, say somebody makes a dance remix, it's really a matchup, because they're taking something that was originally not dancey, and they have added their own dance beat to it. They've matched up their own dance beat. And this is an argument that's come up with a lot of conversations recently. One in particular, a year or two ago, I was at my buddy Pat's house, and this guy was bragging about an Amy Winehouse remix. And it wasn't really so much a remix as it was he had just sampled an Amy Winehouse sample over one of his beats. Still tight. I wasn't dogging it, and it would make a good bridge, but not enough to pad out a whole song, unless he was doing it piece by piece and was just showing us one little piece. I apologize, but it wasn't really enough to qualify it as a remix, and it definitely wasn't a remix. Okay, you're literally just sampling little parts over your beat, you know, and this qualifies for a lot of songs. Like a strange example from the late 90s. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Orinoco Flow by Enya, the Sail Away song. You can go online. I wasn't even able to find the original version that I remembered. And it wasn't really a a remix. It was just the original song, slightly pitch shifted with a house beat over it. And if you go online now, there are literally, oh man, dozens of remixes of that song now. And the new generation, there's like dozens of dubstep versions. So I mean, you could probably find hundreds, I mean, if you really searched on YouTube. But my point is, they all claim to be remixes and none of them are. Not a single fucking one of them. Okay, and that's because they're literally just sampling the little tiny pieces that they can over their crazy beats, you know? None of them are a full-blown matchup or a full-blown remix. They're not even really utilizing the original sounds to their full potential. And that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm going in and I'm using wave editors and track mixers to, you know, pull loops, whole segments, vocal segments, solos, bridges, you know, intros, outros. Anything that's in that original song is fair game to be remixed and, you know, matched upon itself. So just a standard alone remix, Heart of Glass by Blondie. My remix sounds like heaven giving you a blowjob. It's really fucking fantastic. It's one of my best remixes. Christmas Day 2012 did that remix. Unbelievable. Still to this day, unbelievably gorgeous. Like I said, not even looking at the card. But that remix is a matchup upon itself. You know, there's tons of them on the Chizzletown page. There's tons of remixes, including the Neverending Story, which I just did. That's a full album remix. And yeah, I might have accidentally called it a matchup, and I am matching up the songs within the album on top of each other. That Ivory Tower had a MIDI beat over it, and I was able to match like 4 or 5 songs to that. And it was like, magnifique, you know? And I apply the same kind of anal editing that I do to my own songs when I either play a beat or sequence a beat or hand play the piano layers or vocals and layer it all together. I'm applying the same amount of work that I would in these remixes that I would my own work. So it's not to toot my own horn, but it's gonna sound pretty fucking pro. And there are a lot of actual real remixes. Not me taking a song and adding a dance beat to it, because no offense, that's actually quite easy. And we'll get into I'll get into that in a minute. The difference between, you know, matching, you know, beats and matching frequencies. You know, if you can match the beats and the frequencies, you can literally match the songs more. Not just have like a couple of samples. When I did my most recent remix that had Blondie Rapture on it, I wanted to make sure there weren't any other Blondie Rapture matchups, and I found one with Riders on the Storm by the Doors. You have Doors and Blondie matched up together. Mashup. I call them matchups because you're matching up, and it's a lot of work. So maybe that's why I'm not famous. I incorrectly name things myself, you know, or I correctly name them in this opposite world. You know, just add, you know, mixing a beat over a beat is very easy, whereas mixing frequencies over the frequencies can be a little more difficult. And if you can find a song that has the same frequencies, the same beats, the same timing, same beats per minute, which I just did on that Blondie Rapture I mixed. Rick James, Give It To Me, Blondie Rapture, and 2 Michael Jackson tracks, Thriller and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. That's 4 fucking songs. Am I coming up? Yeah, 4 fucking songs that I matched up together. Man, I blew that Riders on the Storm video away, because Riders on the Storm was only able to sample little words here and there and little parts that weren't beat heavy and where they were able to drown out the frequencies. That's sampling, okay? Even I did that with my PM Dawn and Harry Belafonte remix. I call that a mashup, and I even say on the video that's not really a mashup. I'm sampling, excuse me, Wild Cherry Pepsi. I'm sampling Harry Belafonte in little snips over, you know, PM Dawn's Shake. And, you know, it's like Shake, Sidora Shake, with PM Dawn and Harry Belafonte. That's an example of what I should have said when I was arguing. Rat Chat, if you're hearing this, buddy, I should have told you that I had a mix that was similar to that, too. I've done every kind of remix you can think of, imagine. Go to Chizzletown, my page, reverbnation.com/Chizzletown. There's 200 fucking tracks. Some of them are my tracks, some of them are my songs, but it starts out with a bunch of matchups, and then the end of the list is the remixes. The reason I switched up the remixes and the matchups is because, you know, they fuck each other up. You know, if you start the matchups, you want to listen to matchups because they're crazy. If you start with remixes, you want to keep listening to remixes. If you start mixing them together, it sounds weird. So I ended up like putting all my matchups at the top and the remixes at the bottom, and all my band material, like the flow and the natural order of things, psychedelic disco, in the middle. Or singles, analysis singles, for instance, my own singles, my own songs, which people don't believe I have for some reason in this town. It's very strange. I'm in Statesville. Let's see. Probably, okay, I guess I can go on this tangent now. That pretty much wrapped it up. I was telling you that, you know, and a lot of things qualify as that. If you have a dance remix, and if those sounds weren't in the original song, guess what, people? It's not a remix. They're just matching up a beat with it so you can dance to it. They'll make a dance remix out of anything. You could make a dance beat over the Smurfs theme song if you wanted to, okay? It's so easy. Whereas mixing frequencies, on the other hand, is insanely hard. I probably spent 2.5 to 3 years working on my classical project. It's like literally 4.5 hours of classical music crushed into 45 minutes. It is the granddaddy of all matchups, okay? And I hyped it for so long, and when I released it, I posted it, and I shared it, and I tagged like 50 or 60 people, and I have 6,000 plays on Reverb, and I have probably 2,000 to 3,000 plays on YouTube right now, maybe a little more, actually. I need to look at that. But my point is that a lot of videos do get views, but the thing that is the most important thing, that classical project, gets very sparse and lackluster plays. And the videos, I made the videos because nobody was listening to the remixes. I was like, okay, well, I can't get people to listen to this classical project in a remix audio form, so I'll make the videos for it. So I made the classical project videos, and I went on there today and counted all the plays, and it was 109 plays. I know I tagged over 50 people in that post with 5 or 6, maybe 7 videos of the greatest mashup of classical music ever. And there are people of varying ages, and I'm having trouble believing that, you know, people from the ages of 20 to 50 don't see, you know, classical matchup, 20 artists, 4.5 hours into 45 minutes. Holy shit, that's 100% of that shit crammed into 25%. I gotta hear how he did this. You know, that's the reaction I expected. And it's not like you have to be some kind of music dork to get it all. It's like a classical music's greatest hits, practically. It's just a lot of them crammed together, and I try to throw like a little modern piece. And what was my point? Oh yeah, matching frequencies. I'm not even I don't have beats to match up. I occasionally have a timpani, but I'm literally matching these things by notes, keystrokes, you know, tempo, pitch. I broke 2 computers making that mix. I'm kid you not. I did nothing else but the classical project. Okay, that's a lie. I was working on a David Bowie Ziggy Stardust remix as well. I only got 3 or 5 tracks in, and he bid it. So I cut that project out of respect, because I really only do my remixes and my matchups for my dearest friends and the original artists, because I'm obviously enhancing them. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it, you know. And it's different from DJ mixing, and I'll get to that in a minute again, because, you know, these are very elaborate, done on a computer. You've all seen pictures and JPEGs of, you know, my work on my Facebook. It looks like little Lego blocks, you know, all lined up together with all these splits and crossfades and crap. Not trying to nerd you out, but it's a video. Okay, like I said, 109 plays, over 50 tags, and this was a year ago that I posted this, and this is something I hyped for 2 or 3 years as I built it. 25, that means that literally maybe 25 of my Facebook friends, you know, may have listened to it all the way through. out of like the 50 that I tagged and the 200. And then what's up? I don't understand why people online, they see these playlists on YouTube, not even on Facebook, on YouTube. You know, I have subscribers, and they see all these playlists. Charles Penn's classical project should be high on that list, and I don't know why it's not. But whatever, you know, to each their own, and I'm not trying to be snobby, I'm just saying that you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot by not watching it. And admittedly, I prefer just the audio. I released them to be just music. In fact, I wouldn't have made my YouTube channel if the plays weren't so pathetic on Reverb Nation. I'm literally about to go on YouTube and copy and paste, and leave a quaint little note on every original track that I have remixed or remastered. I'm gonna find the one with the highest amount of plays, like a Paint It Black remix. It's not really a remix, it's like a dubstep thing that they've sampled like a measure of and cut off the last note so they can fit it in. It's bullshit. It's shit. There are no Paint It Black remixes. Alright, I have got a matchup, sure. You know? But yeah, I can't remember my fucking point now. Oh yeah, I remember now, yeah. My point is, I made those videos for my friends with ADD who can't sit through audio. So I made those videos just so you'd have something to look at too, you know? All of them, not just the classical project. I never would have even made videos if I had just, you know, I'm not asking for reassurance or compliments or even complaints, although complaints are the shit. I enjoy complaints, believe it or not. Complaints and compliments, who doesn't love that stuff? But this has all been free as well. I want to get to that point in a minute too. Hopefully I'll remember to get to all the points that are in this. But it's all about the audio, not the video. Some of it's about the video, but not all of it. Like those fractals, those are pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, a friend of mine recently, apparently my buddy Quinn Q-Ball was listening to a bunch of my tracks in his car, and Chris Godfrey, shout out, was listening, and you know, he got on the phone with me one night, and he told me I should check out Girl Talk, and it occurred to me I'd actually listened to Girl Talk before. Once I started listening to it and seeing the thumbnails and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this guy. And you know, I'm not dogging Girl Talk or anything. All I'm saying is that Girl Talk does something different. He does DJ mixes and dance sets that are supposed to go for like an hour, and he spins it, you know. But his tempos, you know, like I said, it's not really fair for me to compare my mixes with Girl Talk, because I'm going in and meticulously taking my own sweet time, building these remixes and matchups based on what I hear in my head. That's actually another reason I do all this, is so you guys can hear like the crap that's been driving me crazy ideas, you know. But in listening to Girl Talk, actually, like I said, I'm not really dogging him, but I've heard a lot of DJ music in my time, and matchups and remixes. Of course, I would have heard tons of remixes and matchups. I make remixes and matchups. The first YouTube videos I ever saw were AMVs, anime music videos. They weren't so much remixes, but they were like, whoa, I'm gonna do that one day. You know, I want to do that. Yeah. Unfortunately, you get blocked a lot and you have a lot of troubles. But Girl Talk actually kind of made me a little dizzy, because he's forcing the beats to match. He's forcing the tempos, but he's not matching the pitches. And he's also, you know, not to dog again. I'm not dogging, because he's making dance music, stuff that you're supposed to move to. He's picking things that are the same BPM and switching back and forth to make it to where you can move and wiggle. That'll last short. But anyway, probably my only complaint about Girl Talk, after listening to 3 50-minute mixes, was he was very limited in his music knowledge. I'm not gonna say knowledge, or what he used. He probably has an extensive knowledge, in what he used. He was limited in what he used as far as genres go. And that's another point that kind of leads back to my previous point, is that I don't make dance remixes. I remix things, like I said, professionally, beat by beat, and I'll split and scoot and crossfade and layer and effect. It's quite different, you know, to compare my work with Girl Talk. And I don't want to spend a lot of time doing that, because a lot of it was very good. A lot of it was very unique and fun. But none of it, and you could argue this about every matchup, even on my page, I think that somebody out there who's like me could find all the secret errors. I would say I give myself like an A, like, I've given myself like a 95 to 100, maybe 5 times. Like a perfect matchup. But that's about it, you know? Alright. Getting down to my last few thoughts here. And like I said, that wasn't dog and girl talk. I just wanted to point that out. That, yeah, I make some pretty pro matchups every now and then, and it's going to sound like a cool matchup, and it's going to remind you of Girl Talk because he makes matchups and he's really popular. I'm not very popular, but damn, the past few matchups I've done have been like super amazing. I mean, that not to toot my own horn again, but not just the that sweet funky stuff, which was the quadruple matchup I was talking about earlier, but the triple matchup, which was another Michael Jackson song. That's done. Another Michael Jackson song. It doesn't matter if you're black or white, mixed with Duran Duran, Hungry Like the Wolf, and Foreigner, Hot Blooded. That's a crazy matchup. And I could have kept it going for hours, you know? And I literally could do humongous remixes and sets. I could do long, super long sets based on every remix that I do. And I do go extreme on time sometimes, but for the most part, I try to condense things into their singularity, you know, into their base product, you know, into like their final thing. Like, oh, and this is another point that I really am glad I thought of. The Neverending Story, some of those tracks matched up so easily, and you do hear slight matchups. Oh man, I'm glad I remembered this too. Moonchild and Fantasia, Moonchild is just a slow version of Fantasia. Like, Fantasia's like do 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 do, and Moonchild is like do 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 do. They've just pitch shifted it and changed it around and added all these extra choir voices and wind noises and but why didn't they just have a track? Why did I have to do that Neverending Story remix? Why didn't they have like a final track that was all of them in once and boom? That's why I did it. I did it for me. I did it for you. And I'm not saying I did it for free. I said that by mistake a few minutes ago. No. I didn't do it for free. I'm giving them to you as gifts. And if you see a thumbnail that says an artist name that you love or a movie that you love, you might want to click on it. If you're afraid you're going to hate the original song, or you're going to hate 2 or 3 songs because of some idiot, some 106-pound moron, get a life, dude. If you see something you like, click on it, man, because you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like I said, I don't even do the remixes for myself. You know, there's no personal gain in it except to keep myself sharp and to share it with my friends and, you know, be like, you know, nitpick about it. You know, tear it apart, fuck it up, or, you know, and we'll get to that in a minute. I have some shout outs. I wrote down here, why did I do it? Lots of reasons. I've actually been gone for like 6 or 7 years, guys. I don't know if you noticed that. I've been uploading. I uploaded tracks for 5 years, kind of mourning and grueling over Brandy, and spending a lot of time writing. I would actually consider myself more of a writer, and I'm down to like a pack of smokes every 4 or 5 days, so I'm recovering my singing voice ever so slowly. I mean, I just hummed Neverending Story, right? No, seriously. I am quitting cigarettes, though, just to let you know. But that, whatever. Let's see. I did it for friends, the original artist. Yeah, I already said that. I didn't even need to write that down. That's stupid. Yeah, pretty much all. I guess it is time for shout-outs. All right. Some of my favorite reviewers and reviews. First off, number 1, right off the bat. I didn't number these or anything. These are just some of the ones that I wrote down right off the bat that came out of memory. And there's tons more. And even some complaints that I'm not even going to talk about. But if you go on my YouTube channel, look up the KMFDM Rules Fractal video, you'll see that somebody likes the video but not the music. That me and Brandy made a remix together. And apparently he didn't like the music. He didn't like the remix, but he liked the video. But that's a video I actually made out of like my own like vertical shooter arcade footage. You know, I played a bunch of arcade games and mixed it over it because I wanted it to be a special remix. I didn't want it to just be me throwing a bunch of clips over it like a video. It was a remix that me and my ex had made, and I'd actually put a pretty heavy hand into. So you could say it was an analysis mix, but Brandy did cut out all the original sounds. Now that I think about it, she cut out all the original sounds and had layered a lot of it, but was having trouble with an ending and an intro, and I ended up kind of creating a progression for her, you know? Okay, and number 1 right off the bat, Andrea Klitska. The Cars, My Best Friend's Girlfriend. She wrote 2 words. She wrote very dynamic. That's not typically, not to be sexist, but it's not typically the thing you hear from a girl, you know? So it kind of pulled on my nerd strings, like dun, 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 dun. No, I'm kidding. Even if it was her boyfriend in the background that said it. Very cool. Very dynamic. I like that review. Because it was a very dynamic remix of The Cars, My Best Friend's Girlfriend. I didn't even know the guy had died. He had died while I was making the remix. It's actually happened a few times. It's pretty horrible. So another reason I'm stopping making remixes. I'm tired of people dying right up in the middle of my projects. So anyway, Cold Storage, the guy who did the music for Psygnosis, Lemmings, and Wipeout XL, track that I remixed, Body in Motion. I posted it on his Facebook page and told him that I was that I had been getting a bunch of plays on this this Body in Motion remix that I'd made, and I'd made a Fist of Legend video for it, a Jet Li Fist of Legend YouTube video for it, and he wrote back saying, "Keep up the good work." It's not a claim to fame, but it's one of my favorite comments, you know. Christian Hathaway, if I remember this correctly, about 2013, 2014, I was talking to you on Messenger. This is a few years back, I know, but I believe I had bragged to you about the Perfect Drug remix that I had made, the 9 Inch Nails Perfect Drug remix, and I was like, "Don't lie to me, dude. Don't sugarcoat it. Man, is this not the best fucking 9 Inch Nails Perfect Drug remix you've ever heard?" I mean, I even say that my favorite's the Meat Beat Manifesto remix from the Perfect Drug remix EP. But, you know, that's a pretty fantastic... My version is a fantastic remix. It's blowing up on the YouTube video, and it has 800 views right now. It's not a lot, but 800 is like... I think it's like my most played video, actually. The X-Files Tales of the Black Oil with the Perfect Drug remix under it. It's apparently... a lot of people watch it, they don't comment. Somebody did comment recently, one of my cutie co-workers with a boyfriend. Regis Murphy? I didn't even know, because Regis, oh wow, Regis Murphy, I'm hoping I'm not fucking up here. But he's the only person who's ever shared my music, who's ever actually copied and pasted my music and shared it, and he shared it with, at first he did, I want to say he did La Tigra TKO, or maybe it was Siba Mato, I really can't remember. I want to say it was La Tigra TKO, though. But it could have been Birthday Cake by Subamato. I'm pretty sure it was TKO. And then Nocturne number 2, which is me singing over Chopin. Regis, you copied and pasted that, and I was actually crying when I recorded that. I don't know if I told you that when I sent it to you, but I literally, when I sang on the classical project over Chopin, I was trying to channel what the music was saying. You know, when I wrote those lyrics, I didn't write them in a modern mind. I wrote them in a timeless mind, like I was, you know, in the time of Chopin and in the time of Futurama, you know. I was writing lyrics that I think the music was saying, and not my brain. I was really trying to think outside of myself and create a song that was based on experience, and but still be subtle and not overbearing. And you know, what am I about? Look into my eyes and you will see what you mean to me. It's a far cry from that. But yeah, thanks a lot for the shares. Jarvis Garvin, you have liked a lot of my videos and even prevented me from maybe making some stupid mistakes on the physical end of, you know, hating life, you know, that sort of thing. You pulled me out of a gutter there, and you constantly reassure me on my sound. Hope you don't mind me calling you out for calling me out. I'm just kidding. And I thank you for, you know, putting up with me. I bug the shit out of you and tag you all the time. Jeff Botts appreciates some crazy things every now and then. Just recently with the Blade Runner and 12 Monkeys video. And then a year or two ago, I guess about a year ago now, since I uploaded the classical project a year ago, with the Hunt for October Patriot Games Clear and Present Danger video that I made that utilized the classical project. And it's kind of an ironic video because it's the love segment of my classical project, and you would expect that I would have used like stuff that I'd used in other videos in that segment, in that classical project. But instead I went with action scenes, so it's all like na 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 na, na na na, you know, it's really cute. Let's see. Oh, and of course Sham Grammar and Adrian Cobb. You guys occasionally like things when you're around your computers or home or whatever. Occasionally I'll surprise and shock you, you know. Yeah, that's about it. That was surprisingly much shorter than I thought it was, or I managed to compress a lot of ideas into one, you know. That was convenient. The final thing I want to talk about was some obscure things at the bottom of the Chizzletown list. Like the Neverending Story remix was just one of, I'm guessing, a little over a dozen, maybe more, full album remixes that I've done. And we're talking over the past decade. Me and Quinn both did Star Wars Episodes 4 and 5 remixes, which are awesome. We mix, they're kind of like matchups. We're matching up, you know, our favorite clips from the show, voice clips from the show with, I had the whole CD soundtrack, the whole entire 70s trilogy, New Hope to Return of the Jedi soundtracks, including a bonus disc. It was like a 4-disc black box set, really cool. And we ended up matching up the soundtrack with the movie clips and some of our favorite techno songs. I even had this idea right off the bat for FSOL, and this is Rogue 2. I found them. Repeat, I found them. I'm not even going to try to mouth it right now while I'm shivering my balls off. But yeah, I'm not going to go into delve into every one of these, but you'll definitely want to go to the bottom of the list. All the matchups are at the top. My band stuff is in the middle, like Flow and Psychedelic Disco and my singles, and at the very bottom you've got all the remixes in a row, and at the very bottom of that you got the full album remixes, and at the very bottom, you have rejected material, ex-girlfriend material, Cue ball shout out! Shout out! So yeah, Quinn and I did that Star Wars Episodes 4 and Episode 5 remix, and it's noisy, and I've compressed it. It's really good. Neverwinter Nights, 2001, the RPG game, not the hack and slash game. I remixed it's kind of like the classical project, like a junior classical project, where I'm mixing 2.5 hours into 30 minutes, you know? So you could say I took 100% of this music and crushed it into 20% of it, but I utilized a lot of things from that soundtrack. I had the game. I have the game. So once I converted actually the waves or the files into wave format. I had to get a converter and convert the audio files, and there were tons of audio files, not just soundtrack files. I had ambient sounds, sound effects, so I didn't sample a bunch of swords and orc noises, but there are a lot of ambient effects and some people laughing and stuff like that, tavern music and stuff. I ended up mixing all the tavern themes together. 1992, Alone in the Dark, the PC version, the CD-ROM, Alone in the Dark, very good. Along the same lines, Resident Evil 2, PS1, I did a soundtrack remix where I mix all the lobby themes together. That one's really cool, and I used a lot of the stuff on Saturday Night Live. If you listen really careful to some of those intros, and like the intro explanation uses Resident Evil 2 soundtrack, but not so in depth. That's a pretty badass one on the Chizzletown page. That's like a 15 minute Resident Evil 2 remix. Badass. I think I shared it with Phelan or Phalis from YouTube. Shout out! Quake 1996 PC, 9 Inch Nails. I mixed like 10 or 11 ambient tracks into this one 7-minute fucking file. Again, why wasn't that at the end of the CD? That's mind-blowing. You have all like 10 or 11 ambient tracks that you can technically shift and manipulate and find the puzzle, figuring out a Le Marchand box, the Hellraiser cube, putting this in this weird order of creepy sounds. And why wasn't that on the disc? Whatever. But yeah, it was awesome. I built that shit. City of Lost Children's soundtrack with Angelo Badalamenti. The City of Lost Children soundtrack. Excuse me, I'm very thirsty. He did the Twin Peaks soundtrack. He did Arlington Road, Lost Highway, or other things. Those are all things you'll hear on the Chizzletown page as well. But that City of Lost Children soundtrack remix is an exclusive remix, the soundtracks remix upon themselves, and it's in 3 parts. So if you like the movie City of Lost Children, you might want to look for that. Because the soundtrack is pretty gorgeous, and it inspired a lot of other soundtracks, just to let you know. Let's see. Michael Field Incantations and the Songs of Distant Earth. Those are full album remixes, and originally I had kind of removed one of them because I felt like I hadn't done very much to it, but then I ended up listening to the album again, and I love that album. I own Michael Field Tubular Bells Incantations Live, Tubular Bells Live, and Songs of Distant Earth, which is a more recent, kind of new ageier kind of sound, but admittedly kind of calming. And when I have a migraine, I can listen to the Songs of Distant Earth, either the album or my remix, and feel really good. Those are great Michael Field CDs, and those are album compression / remix remasters. Wow, mwah, beautiful. And mwah to Michael Field, one of my absolute favorites. The Ministry and classical projects, Ministry was a lot of fun. I didn't do album matchups. I just took my favorite Ministry songs and kind of matched them up, and there were a couple other things that I'd used Ministry in, like Golden Sledgehammer, which was obviously Peter Gabriel in Ministry, and the more recent, it's Fight Like a Brave and Thieves, Red Hot Chili Peppers in Ministry. Oh yeah, Red Hot Chili Ministry. Why couldn't I remember that? That's so brilliant. How could I not remember Red Hot Chili Ministry? Oh yeah, I was talking about Future Sound of London, Papua New Guinea at the beginning of this video. that album that all those DJs brought back, occasionally they would sample a different beat on that stuff, but they'd still remixed all those other sounds that FSOL had given them. You know, so occasionally they'd throw a little house beat here and there, but you could still tell that all the sounds were in a different progression and mixed in a different frequency. So they actually did do a remix. However, you would have to classify those moments within that particular song a remix matchup where they threw their own beat. Okay, and I probably would not have included that beat to stick with the continuity of Papua New Guinea. However, with that being said though, I did take that entire remix CD, pull every fucking loop that I wanted, and there was 100 or so loops from that Papua New Guinea that I pulled, and I ended up making a nice 13-minute mix. I could have kept it going. I kind of wanted to keep it going, but I asked around, and people said that the most that they ever listened to when it comes to a techno song, the highest I heard was about 13 or 14 minutes, and that's where I'd found a nice comfortable end. But I literally could have fucking mixed Papua New Guinea for days. Whew. Oh, hey everybody, welcome to the next day. Here's your new Papua New Guinea remix. Yeah, but that was pretty cool, mixing like 8 different remixes together. That was pretty cool. And I have another one, Fluke Atom Bomb. I mixed not just the tracks from the EP, but I also had tracks from Wipeout XL, the game. And in retrospect, I feel like an idiot, and I could probably go back and fix it, or add it to it, but it's all so busy right now. I did an entire Fluke Atom Bomb remix matchup, and I totally forgot to mix the N64 version. Believe it or not, I have a soft spot in my heart for the N64 version of Atom Bomb. It's just so cute. But that being said, Wipeout XL totally fucking smokes it. Yes, Wipeout XL is the shit. Oh, sorry. 2 in the pink, 2 in the stink. I already said I did the Ziggy Stardust David Bowie remix matchup, and that's me matching it up on itself. Each track. I'm not matching up the songs upon themselves. I'm matching up every song upon itself. Like if it's Moon Age Daydream, I mix all the beats and loops and sounds and treasures that I can find as much as I can. Just like I did the Neverending Story remix. You hear like the final track, you hear these random little guitar plucks, like, you know, and you're just like, that wasn't in the original. What the fuck's Charlie doing? He's crazy. And I am crazy. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm trying to pretend like I'm Quinn. Did most of the Exorcist 2 soundtrack. I left out like a couple of redundant things, or things that were kind of annoying and out of date. Not to be mean. And I'm not even a fan of Exorcist 2. I'm not even a fan of the Exorcist series, but I love the Exorcist 1 soundtrack because it did include Tubular Bells in a couple of scenes. And that of course made me listen to the Tubular Bells 2 soundtrack. I listen to a lot of soundtracks. Did anybody catch that? I mean, it's like modern day classical music. It's my favorite music. And I used to, in a band, like in the Flow in the Natural Order of things, we were primarily instrumental. You know, we made sounds, and I was kind of more serious. I would actually make songs. My buddy Quinn, he just likes jamming, you know, and, you know, I love Joey and everything, but he was kind of like, you know, always like, wow, 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 wow. Hey Joey, it's me, Natalie. Hey Joey, it's me, Kathy. La, 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 la. I mean, hey, Call of the Wild, right? I can't ignore it either, buddy. Women ruin bands. Oh, was I being sexist again? No, I didn't mean it like that. I mean like girlfriends ruin bands. Sorry, let me paraphrase that. Never date a band member. I mean, look what just happened to Stevie Nicks and Fleetwood Mac. I mean, you know, 1 minute you got a rockin' band and the next thing you got a lamb. Oh yeah, and the Hunt for Red October. I did a Hunt for Red October remix, but I couldn't find a CD at the time when I did my remix, so I downloaded FLAC versions. I couldn't remember the file type, FLAC, which was supposed to be a lossless audio. Now, in the time of eBay, I might be able to find it. I haven't looked for it because, well, I already finished it, and it's lo-fi. It's like a low kilohertz. Lossless my cock. All right, I can hear the difference. When you MP3 something and it's under 320, I mean, even 320 is like an 11% loss in power. I mean, maybe not 11%, but it's variable. Lower than that, it's unacceptable. But I have to do that on Reverb Nation because some of the files are so long. And that's what another thing I was going to say. There's a lot of part 2s, part 3s, part 4s, part 5s, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The Ministry project alone is 10 tracks. The Classical project is like 7. And 9 if you listen to it on Reverb. There's like deleted scenes, you know, rejected material. That's about all I wanted to say, guys. You know, Chizzletown coming to an end, to a close, and a new era upon me, you know. Pretty stoked, pretty excited, and I never really explained why these mixes were so special, you know. Maybe I shouldn't have called them remixes. Maybe I should have called them, you know, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I don't know. Click.